Do you check on them in their rooms to know what they do? Do you know
Tell
the
us
kind?
what parents should be looking out for.
What they should look out for, number one, red blood, bloodshot eyes for those who abuse cannabis. Because if you take cannabis, your eyelids will appear to be closing. It's not, they are not doing it voluntarily. It's a reaction of the drugs. So it looks as if their eyes are closed, but they see, and it's reddish. So because of that, some of them use sunglasses. So you must be curious to know why your child or
Wearing
a member of a
sunglasses in
family
the house.
is now wearing sunglasses in the house. They also use perfumes to suppress the odor of drugs. Particularly cannabis has a very strong odor. So they need perfumes to suppress it, or they use mosquito coil in the daytime, or incense. They light incense in their rooms just to prevent you from inhaling it. Then they also use sweets just to prevent you from inhaling it. So these are things that you can look out for. Then paraphernalia of drugs. You know, the small white paper with which they wrap hemp is called Rizla. So what would you be doing with such?
But
If
can use
you are a
normal.
journalist, you can use a notepad. You don't need Rizla. So people should watch out for things like that. Then syringes and needles for the ID use. You are not a medical doctor, you are not a nurse, you don't have any problem that will demand you injecting yourself. Why must you be found with syringes and needles? Then, of course, poor performance both at work and at school. Or is the person suddenly losing interest in associating with members? Because when they get involved with drugs, it becomes their first love. So they disconnect from every other habit. In fact, it has broken up marriages. So it's not limited to children alone. So you can watch out for that in spouses. Some people come to me and say, oh, I want to get married. I discover my man is taking cannabis. What do I do? So please invite him for counseling. If he's not interested, you may look somewhere else. Because if you didn't solve the problem before you get into it, it may be something else. So
Okay,
these are things
There's
we
still
must
one point that is missing. You look at the mood swing of your child. Sometimes you just come up to be so energetic. Sometimes you see the person is so dull, kind of withdrawn. Start looking out what the person is doing. Because when he takes, he gets high.
He wants to express
And
it.
again, monitor the discussion with the person. Because sometimes he gets kind of off the hook, distorted.
Okay, Mr. Foyedri, let's look at some of these drugs. Beside the ones that you've listed here, you've talked about methamphetamines, cocaine, heroin, cannabis, ecstasy drugs. Let's look at the painkillers.
Yes.
I understand some people are getting addicted to painkillers now. Someone actually tweeted here, Dr. Telema Destiny said, could you please address their use of tramadol? Then somebody else, Nwatwit says, Suzagmethonium says being abused as well. I think these are medical people. Drugs like suzamethonium. Dr. Telema says tramadol. These are painkillers that are being abused in the country. Now, these are just a few.
Yes. The rate at which people seek high, this feeling of euphoria, is quite phenomenal. In 2014, over 380 something new drugs, psychoactive drugs, were reported by member nations to the United Nations. In 2015, 602 new drugs were reported, over 50% of the previous year. So what this simply connotes is that people are seeking ways to circumvent the law. So we have a lot of designer drugs. And like I said, they are chemical synthesis that mimics drugs like cocaine, heroin, and methamphetamine. So it's a big challenge. What we would do is, like I said, the global focus is on prevention and treatment.
Okay.
Let's
look at the treatment part. There are those who might be watching now who know they are addicted to some drugs. Some people are addicted to cigarettes and alcohol. That's another way of getting a high. Yeah. So what should they do what should you do when you find out you are addicted to one of these things, to either cigarette, alcohol, or the drugs? What do you do?
Thank you very much. Let me use this opportunity to clear the air, because I had a little discussion with my colleague, and she was saying what people know about NDLA is arrest, arrest. The NDLA is not just about arrest. We have a humane face, and that is the drug demand reduction. What we do is to counsel people that are into drugs. In fact, what we have in that department, there are social workers, doctors, nurses, to give you that civilian, atmosphere, talk to you one-on-one, and if your situation demands you being admitted, they admit you. If it is not that serious based on the interaction with you.
They admit you to where?
To the counseling session offered by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, not in the cell.
Okay.
Not in the cell.
I had to get that clear.
No, that is clear.
All right.
And like I said, you won't even get to see uniform or rifle carrying persons. These are just social workers, medical people that are there to help you. Okay. And we also have an email address where you can contact those people.
What's the email address?
ddr@ndlea.gov. That's gov.
DDR.
Yes. At ndlea.gov. .ng. So if you send an email there, oh, I have tested cannabis once, this was how I felt, how do I do? They will help you. So it's an email.
They will not come and arrest you.
No. It's an online counseling, platform.
Okay. ddr@ndlea.gov.ng.
So we are encouraging people to come forward to seek for professional help, because treatment works. Why we advocate that people should abstain, people should prevent, they shouldn't go into drugs. Treatment works, so we must emphasize that. There are a lot of people who were hooked on drugs, and today they are off drugs, they have family, they are working, and they are contributing fantastically to the economy of this nation and all across the world.
In closing.
Okay, in closing, now we actually seize this opportunity. I've talked with him about that again, that NDLA should do more of sensitizing people, using people that have been out of drugs to do some of their campaigns, reaching people. We hear more of people we actually got at the airport going out with this. Let's hear more of people we've rehabilitated, people we've actually cancelled, people that have been doing well, they've gotten their families. That is what we see, we hear, we do, we act towards that. And he has actually promised that we do something. Let's look out for that.
Okay, Mitchell?
Yeah, I think my advice is to the general public. A lot of people have dropped out of school as a result of drug addiction. We had cases of people who took their parents' car to drug dealers, and they'll be collecting drugs because they don't have money to pay. So in order to prevent such terrible, problems that could deviate people from achieving their ultimate goal in life, I want people to stay out of drugs. And for those who have made the mistake, they shouldn't feel stigmatized. They shouldn't feel afraid. They should come forward for help. And the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency will readily provide counseling help. And where we cannot handle, we refer to other drug treatment centers within the country.
I think they need to still know that treatment is not really as smooth as we actually look at it, that there are challenges with it. The person will still experience withdrawal symptoms, and so that the person will not get scared. They said on television that the minute you come, you get treated, you get your family. There are those challenges that will follow that.
There's a process. Okay, please, just quickly, we have to go. But Dr. Telema says, I have a few patients who are addicted to tramadol. Should I refer them to your counseling?
With pleasure.
Okay. So,
We'll handle it.
Dr. Telema Destiny, the address is ddr@ndlea.gov.ng. So you can send a mail there, they'll respond to you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Mitchell.
Thank you for this huge opportunity.
Mitchell Ofoyeju, Head of Public Affairs, NDLEA, that's National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, as well as Ekene Onwanum Pt.3. And Pt.3 stands for the Eagle Eye Behavioral Orientation Initiative. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Sunrise will return in just a moment with the home stretch.